Your content should reflect the core values of your personal brand. And by that, I mean that these values are like your North Star. They're guiding your messages. So if transparency, authenticity are your core values, then your content should be honest, open, perhaps a bit vulnerable. It all depends on you, on your personality, and how your content voice should reflect that.
This is Let's Make Waves podcast. I'm your host, Rana Al-Basri Mawad, and I believe that we're all here to make waves. I created this podcast to help you build your brand by sharing with you tools, resources, and strategies to gain professional authority for better business opportunities. If you want to get unstuck, you've come to the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Make Waves podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to tell you something that happens with me a lot. I have a process. It starts with an onboarding, especially with a new client. So when I onboard a new client, the first session, that onboarding session, it's the one that I take them through a rundown of what our work together would look like in the next following weeks. And I cover everything from the outline of my personal brand mastery framework. It's a framework that I've created with my clients so that we can work together on building their personal brand. And I'm not kidding you when I say that almost all the time, we kind of stop at the communication strategy part of the framework, and I see worry. So some of them understand the foundational steps that we need to build prior to getting to the communication strategy that will make the communication strategy as a step easier. But honestly, the majority focus on something which is more tactical, such as the pressure of they must go viral using social media. So that's where the panic starts. That's where they feel the pressure when it comes to content creation and everything around the content strategy, the virality of their content. So a quick disclaimer, my work is not focusing on what time do you post, whether the post should be a picture or a carousel or a video. These are all tactical details. And honestly, out of experience, they are irrelevant if the actual strategy is not solid, and it will not get the person, the client, the kind of connection that they want and the kind of interest that they are seeking from the audience. So if the content is wrong, if the messaging in the content is wrong, that it doesn't matter if it's packaged in a video or in a post. It will simply not connect with the right people. And that ultimately leads to that kind of content not performing, not getting the attraction that it needs. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that the start is slow, but slow, steady consistency will get you the engagement and the performance that you're seeking from your content. But focusing on virality only without making sure that the foundation is right, that's where the issue lies. And this is what we do. This is the kind of mindset shift that I always try to help my clients make. Basically understanding that they need to create a connection, and the content that they're seeking to create needs to tick certain boxes. So I would say some of those boxes are the fact that they need to leverage storytelling whenever it's applicable. It is also helpful if the content is insightful, aspirational, entertaining, helpful. This kind of content is very clear in terms of the emotional connection that they are creating through that content that will make sense with their audience. Another point that they need to keep in mind is that it is true to the person's voice. So to the client's voice, the content has to be true to their voice. It has to be on brand. And there is a very clear connection of that content to the overall purpose or their overall mission. It is also important, of course, that it has to be on the right platform, and that this kind of content, all of their content, is within an overall strategy. So it's designed to have different types of content, but they're all towards a very specific and a very clear goal. So as professionals, and to build personal brand that resonates with the audience, we all have to recognize the importance of effective content creation. And content strategy plays a role, a vital role, when we're creating and managing content that resonates with the target audience. So let's get started. How do you fascinate your audience with the right content? This is what we're talking about today. And to begin, let's start from the basics. Let's explain what content strategy really means. So, content strategy involves the planning, the development, the management, the creation of content. So, a content strategy, and usually successful content creation, it involves a lot of things. It involves keeping in mind the user experience. It also keeps in mind different disciplines such as, information, the content management, business analysis or industry analysis, digital marketing, technical communication, and, in my opinion, very importantly, consumer psychology. So, in simple terms, your content strategy should be based not just on a very clear understanding of who your audience are, but also who you are and the value that you bring to the table. Also, very importantly, it does require you to be good at empathy with your audience. So basically, you're able to see things from their perspective, to understand their challenges, their desires, to understand how they take decisions, and basically what motivates them to go from point A to point B. And in this way, you'll be able to create the type of content that will fascinate them in such a way that they'll engage with you, they'll connect with you, they'll follow your journey, and hopefully convert them into working with you. So human psychology plays a huge role, and your role is basically to see their perspective. Okay, let's go back to the content strategy. So content strategy is essential for any professional or any organization that is wishing to deliver meaningful and valuable content to their audience. The strategy also ensures that the right content reaches the right audience at the right time. So basically, the content not only has to be good, which means it conveys the brand messaging, but it also has to be designed in such a way that it's attractive and delivered in the right time on the right platform. In its essence, content strategy provides a roadmap. And this roadmap helps you to create, to distribute this content that will align with your overall goals and your objectives. So, by identifying the audience's interest and the audience's needs, their pain points, their desires, all of that, the content can be tailored to address those needs and provide the value that you have as a professional to that audience. And the content strategy also has both the strategic and the technical aspects when it comes to content creation and content management. So when we're addressing these components holistically, you're basically creating content that not only creates engagement with your audience, but you're also creating content that supports your overall goals and your mission. And these goals could include, for example, content for brand awareness, follow and loyalty from your audience, conversion rates, interest in buying something from you, and of course, interest in doing something with you, like attending an event, or if you're a speaker, or all of that good stuff. So, to go back to the question of the episode, how do you fascinate your audience with the right type of content? My answer to that would be two things. The answer has two important criteria: the strategy and the tactic. So, the strategy element, let's talk about that. So, the strategy basically means you're crafting a magnetic narrative. Okay, so you're creating the narrative and you're crafting this narrative in such an attractive and magnetic way. And it's not just about, throwing words on a wall and hoping something sticks. It's about creating stories and creating information that fascinates and excites, interests, attracts. And in the end, the overall goal is to connect. So when we're diving into this art and science behind creating the right type of content that builds and sustains that kind of connection so that you can build your personal brand, the strategy should include certain elements. The first one is a no-brainer. You have to know your audience. So the foundation of anything that is successful is based on understanding who's in front of you. So a successful content strategy starts with understanding who are you talking to. The second one is to define your brand voice. So the brand voice is like the personality of your content. Just, your personal brand is based on you. So your content has to have your voice, the personality in that content. And in that sense, it means how you want your audience to perceive you through that content. Is it an authoritative voice, friendly, quirky, maybe a mix of different things? Whatever it is, you need to be very intentional because you're controlling the narrative. The third point is to identify your core values. So your content should reflect the core values of your personal brand. And by that, I mean that these values are like your North Star. They're guiding your messages. So if transparency, authenticity are your core values, then your content should be honest, open, perhaps a bit vulnerable. It all depends on you, on your personality, and how your content voice should reflect that. The fourth element is to set up clear objectives. So what I mean from this is that what do you want to achieve with your content? Is it to inform, to entertain, to inspire, a combination of that? Having very clear objectives helps you in crafting a very focused and a very effective content and content strategy as a whole, but also a very effective and clear content. So this kind of clarity on the objectives, it will provide you means or a way so that you can also measure the effectiveness or the success of this content. So it provides you metrics. So be it through engagements, be it through shares, be it through conversations, you decide how do you want this content to be. How would you basically say that this content was successful? Is it by the number of clicks? Do you find it more effective if people engage by asking questions, by replying, by going to your DMs? This is the clarity of the objectives will help you to provide the metrics. So that was the strategy part. And now I'll take you through the tactic, because we said this is how I would answer it. The strategy is important. The tactics are also important. And by tactics, I mean basically making your content unforgettable. And this happens by, again, we go back to the understanding the human psychology. And one of the very powerful ways of making sure that your tactics are solid is, number one, is to use the power of storytelling. So we humans are hardwired on stories. Like, we all know that. We love them because that's a great way that it makes us get information. It is very relatable to us. It's easier to remember things. It's more memorable when it's a very interesting and exciting story. So by weaving in stories into your content, it kind of illustrates the points that you want to share. So by sharing an experience, it helps you to build that emotional connection. And at the same time, it will help you deliver the message that you want to deliver. So people can find you relatable. And it will also make it easier for people not to just focus on the emotional side, but also retain the facts that you're trying to share. So usually people don't forget a really good story. And this is how a lot of connection happens. It happens through storytelling. The second thing is, of course, the visuals, the multimedia when it comes to tactics. These are important elements. So, we've all heard this: a picture is worth 1,000 words. Today, a video might be worth, I don't know, a million. So, using visuals will help you to break the text, illustrate certain points, engage visually with your audience. Okay. Now, I understand if people are more comfortable through a picture versus a video, or audio versus video. This is definitely another layer of the tactics that later on can be broken down. However, in general, a very important and a very powerful tactic are the visuals. So again, visuals, they don't just mean video or just pictures. It can happen through, for example, infographics. So creating an infographic that could deliver the information that you want to deliver. So it is also something that connects with the people visually. It can happen through memes. So memes is becoming very popular. It's very engaging. It's easily shareable. People connect with memes very much. It could be a picture of something that you wrote, or a place that you visited, or it could be a kind of a point of reference. So we need to be a bit open-minded about the visual and the multimedia, but this is a tactic that is it's an element in the tactical part that is very important. Okay, so the third thing would be the value. So I know we also heard a lot of that. Everything has to be value driven content. Yes, value is important, because otherwise you cannot distinguish yourself from everybody else. A lot of people do the kind of work that we do. So it's a very competitive space. However, not everybody has the same value and the same way of portraying or sharing that value based on their own ethics and their own personality and their own stories and experiences. So you need to think of your content, whatever it is, that it has to have some kind of value when you're delivering it. So your content should have the real value that is necessary to connect with your audience. And that could be in different forms. It could be in forms of tips. It could be in analysis, something insightful. It could even be in a story where it's basically a good laugh about an experience that you had, but there is value behind it. So the key is to offer something that makes your audience's life better, or a tiny bit better. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge transformation, but it makes them a tiny bit better. It has to give them the value that is important for them to create that connection, and also the value to see the person behind that content, and to give the human element and the personality element that it needs. Okay, the fourth thing in the tactics would be the authenticity and the transparency. It kind of connects with the value part of the previous point I've mentioned. So I know that there's a lot of people who say, authenticity stands out, authenticity is important. And while this is true, a lot of people cringe from that. And this is what I want to address here. Authenticity does not mean oversharing. There's been a wave in the past decade, especially with social media influencers, that gave the impression that the oversharing is the reason why a lot of people connect and follow certain people. While that could be the reason for social media influencers or content creators, it is not the case for you as a professional when you're building your personal brand. So the authenticity from that angle is more of authenticity in sharing not just your successes, but also your failures. Um, not failures, I don't like that, maybe challenges. So authenticity could be sharing behind the scenes, what does it take to be where you are, to do what you do, basically being real with your audience, so that they can relate to you. So I like to call that curated authenticity. So you're kind of curating what you would like to share, the authenticity behind everything that you're building in your personal brand, but the kind of curation where it builds trust, it builds loyalty, and it builds, of course, that connection. And the final one in the tactics will be the engagement and the interaction. So on a tactical level, monitoring and gauging engagement and interaction is really important when you're building the content strategy, because content is not a monologue. It's basically a conversation. It's a conversation opener. So you want your audience to engage with you by responding, by commenting, by going to your DMs, maybe asking questions, and so kind of anything that basically encourages that kind of interaction. This is not only important because that boost of engagement will make you connect with more people. That's one of the main reasons. But it also makes your audience feel valued and heard when there is that kind of connection with you. So it is also good for you in terms of building that authenticity, building that credibility with your audience. Engagement and interaction is also important for information collection. And information helps you, data helps you to understand who you're talking to. Who are these people that you're connecting with? Are they the right kind of audience that you're looking for your profession, for your career, for your domain, for your industry? So, this is really important. And this will help you get the right number of, if we need to do the followers or the subscribers, it becomes the right number, because these are people. You don't see them anymore as numbers, but you see them as the people that you're creating the tribe or the community with. So the number, no matter how small or large it is, it's much more valuable, because these are the real right audience that will help you reach the goals and the objectives that your whole strategy is built on. Finally, I would like to stop on the part which is about consistency. Now, consistency is the most important thing when it comes to the tactics. If everything is still a work in progress, consistency should be like nailed down from day one, because as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's something that is very important to build a very strong and to master your personal brand. So consistency is in the sense of posting regularly, making sure that your messaging is consistent, making sure that the quality of your work is consistent. All of that is crucial. And it does help you in building the right connection with your audience, because it puts you in a position where your audience will see you reliable. You are a person who is consistent in delivering not just the messaging and the quality and the value in your information, but you're also a person who is serious about what using the platform that you're using. They will be looking forward, they'll anticipate your work, and they will be looking forward to your content and to engaging with you. Last but not least, let me close with this. I really emphasize this point to the people and the clients that I work with, and that is their unwavering commitment to always looking for growth and evolution. And that is because today, this space that we're in, and everything that is digital and everything that is online, constantly evolving is really important, and it should be part of the strategy. And this element is I believe it's like the heartbeat of the strategy. That's what makes the strategy healthy, and that will kind of help the execution of the strategy become more successful. It gives it better chance. Basically, keeping an eye on trends, experimenting with new formats, being open to changes and pivots is important. That does not mean that we chase every single trend or we onboard every single trend. That is not what evolution is all about, because not every single every single trend is on brand when it comes to your personal brand and your objectives. There are trends that involve, certain elements that could actually harm your personal brand. So it's not about there's a new platform, I need to be on it, or this is a new way of sharing information, it's a new trend on social media, let me try doing it, and it's not consistent with your overall strategy, your overall content creation methodology. However, it is important to be adaptable and to be innovative and to always be curious, to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep approaching different tactics without sacrificing the objective and without sacrificing the overall direction. So, what I invite you to do is to go ahead, be creative, create content with the intention, first and foremost, is to connect, is to create that bridge, is to open this dialogue with your audience and to really find out more information from the people who connect with you, to see if you're on the right track, to try something new, to challenge yourself with something that might be uncomfortable today, but with consistency it becomes more easier every day, but always with the intention of leaving a really good and lasting impression. After all, the community that you are seeking does need your unique voice, and your unique voice can be shown and can be portrayed through the right content that you will be creating using the platforms as your megaphone. Now, before I go, I'd like to invite you to the personal brand mastery quiz. So, if you are someone who is doing the great work that you're doing, or maybe not so much, or there isn't one element of what we've mentioned today when it comes to content strategy, but you're not really sure, take this free quiz. This free quiz will help you recognize exactly where you are. It will help you to analyze your current status based on 7 different categories. And it will also give you a personalized report for free to tell you where exactly are you excelling and where exactly do you need to work more or pivot or find a new direction. So I will leave a link to the personal brand mastery quiz for you to do your own personal assessment and get your personalized report to know more about it. With that, I will wrap this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you did not forget to subscribe to the podcast on whatever channel you are listening or watching. Please feel free to connect with me on social media. I would love to hear from you. And if it's possible, if you found this information valuable, please do share this podcast with your network. And of course, if you have the time, I would be very grateful if you left a review. Until next time, take care and keep making waves. Bye.